This is Stephen Witkoski from Christian Music Network, and we're here with David Arnold. So, how are you doing?
I'm good. How are you, sir?
Great, great, great. So, tell me about yourself.
Hey, I appreciate you having me on. I am a music producer, drummer based out of Detroit, Michigan. I have a studio here, Red Chip Studios. Uh, mostly, most of my work is with Christian musicians, to just trying to spread the God's message through song, music.
Cool, cool, cool. So how did uh everything all started for you?
I started playing drums in church a long, long time ago. That transpired to want to learn how to mix my drums on stage when I was doing performances. One of my favorite drummers was doing it at the time. So I thought, well, if he's doing it, then I can do it.
Sure.
So that segued into he decided to open a studio. So, of course, I had to do a studio. So I went to school, started in 2019, Los Angeles Film and Music. And then to Berkeley, School of Music Online for Pro Tools. And then last 2 years ago, I opened my own studio. Uh, it's now here in my basement.
Cool, 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 cool. So tell me about the studio.
All right. So we unfortunate incident. We had a commercial space. My wife has a business too, so we were sharing a spot. And due to some issues with some neighbors, we had to move. So I decided to put a studio in a basement. I've actually got through the door. I've got a live room where I can track full bands. And here we got the control room. I got 32 full channels in and out, digital interface, and then I've got several pieces of outboard gear, a lot of analog preamps, compressors, and things. Try to give whoever comes in kind of that vintage, that 60s, 70s sort of vibe, with whatever their music is. Mainly blues, country style. I got a couple of rap artists I work with, but still try to give them. They walk out with that kind of that 70s sort of punch to everything.
Cool, cool, cool. All right. So who did you work with?
I have worked with a lot of indie artists. Uh, Ones that I started with a band Blue Thorns back in 2020 when I was just getting started with recording. The guitar player, his name's Chris Lee. Him and his wife have a band, Cool Hip Priest. They were based out of Indianapolis, Indiana, and I did a show playing drums for a guitar player named Todd Moyer,
Yes.
Philadelphia. Do you know
Yep.
Todd?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Certainly, certainly.
Yeah, so I Todd had reached out and I sat in on drums. I got to play with it was an all day affair for me. Uh One of the other bands didn't have a drummer, so I got to play with them. And then Rex Carroll from White Cross was there. I got to sit in, play with him and Benny Ramos. So I had met Chris. That was late 2019. We had we hit it off great. Same sense of humor, same love of God first and foremost. He's a very smart biblical person, but he reached out, March or February, of course, when everything was starting to shut down, and he said, "Well, I've got some blues material." And I said, "Chris, you're a heavy metal guy." He's like, "Yeah." He's like, "But you also have a studio, and you're just getting started, so let's see what we can do." So he came up and we recorded two different sessions. One was 7 songs, the other one was 5. Everything was done in my basement. Much smaller space. I've wound up expanding that, basically take up the whole basement now. So that was my first big project with Chris Bluethorns, uh, and slowly mixing and releasing that material. And then I had met Rusty Drake. I don't know if you're
Mhm.
familiar with him.
Yeah, yeah. I seen him on Crazy Worship. Yeah,
Okay.
definitely.
Yeah, so he was signed with a promoter, some sort of management. The manager posted an ad looking for bands. So as a drummer and a new producer, I reached out and just let them know I was looking for session work, playing drums or mixing, producing. And at the time, of course, he was based, I think, out of LA. He said no. And then an hour later, he calls like, "Wait a second, I know this guy up in Mackinac, Michigan." So he put me in touch with Rusty. So Rusty had released several songs using backing tracks. Of course, he played guitar and sang over top. So we re-recorded, formed a band, it became Rusty Drake and the Watchmen. I have worked with a few other people who just come in and do songs. Some secular people who've been through Nashville. I did a Christmas record with a girl that does most of her work in Nashville last year. So it's just picking up steam and really open up doors. In fact, I was doing a recording session before we jumped on this podcast, putting some drums down for up and coming Christian artist out of North Carolina, I believe.
Cool. Cool. And that's Red Chip Studios.
Yes, sir.
So how'd you get that name?
So I do have 3 little girls, and when I opened a studio, we were standing in the kitchen, and asked them what I should call the studio. Uh, I was trying to find something a little bit more faith based.
Mhm.
So I was pondering it for a couple of days. I decided, of course, to ask the kids, and they were eating. They call Doritos red chip.
Okay.
So I was standing in the kitchen, and I was like, "Girls, what should I call the studio?" And they said, "Well, call it red chip." And I'm like, "All
Okay.
right." That's so it's stuck.
Cool. Awesome.
So I had
Awesome.
the logo made, and I do have a website up. It's just redchipstudios.com. You can read
Mhm.
more in depth about my bio and uh, things of that nature. And I have some links to some music I've worked on. I got a few sample pieces up there.
Cool. 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 So how can we contact you?
So you can contact me, redchipstudios.com through the website, or the social media. Red Chip Studios is my handle on Instagram, or redchipstudios at gmail.com.
Okay, cool. Cool. I would like to thank you for coming on. Is there any last words?
Yeah, I appreciate you for what you're doing. The podcast. We as Christian artists need all the avenues we can get to let people know we're out here.
Certainly.
Me as a musician, producer, working with the bands I work with, it's nice that people are doing these podcasts to get band names out there, the music out there, so we can spread God's word, especially the times we're living in that are very difficult times for a lot of people across the world. So if they can hear a song or something that can help their day, help their life, maybe change their way of thinking. So yeah, I appreciate taking the time. There's been a lot of music I've worked on. Again, just go you check the website out. And if anybody's listening to this needs some songs mixed or drum tracks done, like I said, redchipstudios.com, and we can set something up.
Okay. Sounds good. Awesome. uh, like to thank you for coming on and hopefully more bands and artists will work with you.
Yeah, for
Uh,
sure.
okay. God bless you.
God bless
And
you.
yep, and good night.
Good night, sir.